Hi everyone, my name's Nicole Miyuki and this is Let's Make Art, and we letter together every week. And we are in a new box, so it's February. So if you've been watching the past couple videos and you're wondering, what are we doing this month? We're gonna be mixing it up. We're gonna be including watercolors, so you'll see this project that we're doing. I'm calling it abstract cards because we're gonna be doing abstract patterns. So we're gonna be using watercolors this time, and let me go through the steps first. Okay, so there are 6 different steps to make this project. So we're doing cards. This theme, I'm calling it Love Notes. So if you have our box, you get this really pretty note, a love note from me that has all the information inside. Anyways, also if you're like, what is a box? We have a monthly subscription box. So if you don't have that, you can either join in or please do this project with us. If you have watercolors, you can totally do this with us too. So there are 5 steps that I'm going to go through. The first one is I'm going to show you how we're going to use watercolors. So I know we've been using markers before, so if you're like, I don't use watercolors, I'll show you how to do it. That's the first step. The second step is we're going to do the different patterns, so the washes. The third step is lettering practice worksheets. So this is a lettering tutorial, so you can get these practice worksheets, and we're going to go through these to help you with that. The fourth step is I'm going to be showing you how I use the lip pens, which is the specific type of smaller brush pen that we're going to be using. So we're going to do that on these guys. Actually, this one, I'm going to scratch that. Not lip pens. It's going to be just pens in general. Because I'm going to be showing you how I use a lip pen, and then this is actually a jelly roll. Oh. So we're just going to do the lettering. And then the 5th step, I said, remember this is supposed to be handmade. So these cards are handmade by you, so they're not supposed to be perfect, they're just handmade. So have fun with this. Okay, so these supplies. Let me use the back of this. So like I said, we're gonna be using our watercolors. And in your box, if you have it with us, I'm using 3 different colors. So this is tangerine, fuchsia, which, did you guys know, fuchsia is spelled, no, I'm going to spell it wrong, F-U-C-H-S-I-A? I didn't know if there was a C or not, because it's kind of hidden.
It is a sneaky word.
Right?
Yes, gets me every time.
Yeah, I have to kind of think about it. Fuchsia, and this is space blue. We're going to space. And then, okay, then the different pens. So there are 4 different pens. This is a lip pen, this is the Flex lip pen, and this is a brush pen. So this one's navy. And then you also have a burgundy one. And then, are these in the shot?
No, they need to be pushed up.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Now, is that in the shot?
No.
What?
Higher up, please.
Still?
There you go.
Okay. I made my swatches too big. Okay, this really small one, this is also a lip pen. Should I say this now? I will say this now because if you're watching this in the beginning, I will say this now. There are 2 different types of lip pens. So lip pens are a brand, and it's a type of, it's just the name of the brand, but you will look, if you're looking really closely, can Kina do a side shot? Yes. This is a regular lip pen, which means that it's a regular tip. This is they call it the Flex, but their Flex is basically a brush pen. So we've been using, last month we used the Pentel, so that's another great brush pen to use, or we've used Tombows. But this is just a new one I wanted to introduce you guys to because I really like this one also. So if you look, you might see, if you're going to a store and you don't have these with us, I don't know if you can see, this says Le Pen Flex and this says Le Pen Made in Japan. So it just doesn't say anything. So this is the original one, and then the Flex is the brush pen. So just so you know that those are the differences if you're wondering. And then the last one, let me put it up here, is we're going to be using this is a rose gold or, no, it's copper jelly roll. Okay, those are the supplies. Oh, I forgot to also mention, if you have our box, this is a round 10. The brand is Royal, but this is just a brush that I wanted to include so that if you guys don't have brushes and this is your first time doing it with us, you have all of the materials. If you have our watercolor box and you have the round 6 or the round 2, you can totally do that too with us and use those. Okay. Oh, scratch that. One more thing. Your cards. So also in your box is we included these Strathmore watercolor cards that come with the cards and the envelopes. If you don't have this, what I suggest doing, simply get a piece of watercolor paper, cut it, fold it in half. Then you got a card. You don't need to have these specific tools. So just wanted to say that. Okay, let's do your test. So if you don't have watercolor paper, it's okay. You can just use, this is just a scratch piece of paper. Then I'm going to show you our colors. So when you're using watercolors, is this all in the shot for them?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to try and do this quick, but also explain to you guys. I am basically dipping my brush into it. You don't want it to be dripping. So sometimes Sarah likes to hit it off the side. Sometimes I like to use the lip of this and just get a little bit off. So you don't want it super soggy, but what you're going to do is these are our liquid watercolors that we also have on our website. There's different kinds, so many different colors. But what I'm doing is I'm just dipping in and I'm just going to draw a swash like that. So if you ever feel like you have too much or it's too thick and it feels more like acrylic if you've used that, then you need more water. If it's too watery and you paint and you're like, wait, I can't see anything, that means you have too much water. So those are the two tricks with that. So what I suggest to do first is get a little bit more. Ignore that that's there. Make yourself a triangle. So I'll do all three swashes like that. Oh, this palette did not come in your box, but we have these on our site, I believe. So I love using this because it's like a color wheel. So you can use this to your advantage so what I want to show you is that these are the 3 original colors that came in your box, but you can also mix these. So when you're looking at these cards that I did, even though I started with only 3 colors, I mixed them to create an array of different colors. So this is the beauty of watercolors. What you can do is, so this is my tangerine in my palette, and this is my fuchsia. What you can do is, yeah, let's do this. I'm going to do 1 drop here, a couple drops there, and then a little bit more. Nope, that was the wrong direction. Dang it. Sorry, fake out. I'll just do more there. What I wanted to do is I'm showing that this is tangerine. You're going to have a lot of tangerine, and then as you go, you're going to have a little bit less. So that way, I'm going to do an even amount of fuchsia in all 3 of these. The ratio might be a little off. So it's just a tad bit darker. We'll see if that's a little bit. So I'm mixing it in. So as I'm coming around this circle, my color is going to start to get a little bit darker. And it wasn't that drastic. So I can actually keep going. So if you guys can see, this is probably a better example of it. This one I need to add a little bit more. But as you can see, if you want to get a more fuchsia orange, we're just going to call it like that. You're just going to add a little bit more. Oops. Okay, so now I added a little bit more fuchsia, so now I'm going to mix this. There we go. So that's actually more of a red now. So if you want red, mix a little bit more fuchsia than orange. So Sarah actually has a beginner watercolor series if you want to learn a little bit more about the color theory and the color wheel, but I just wanted to show if you mix these, you can get so many different colors. So do you know what pink and blue make?
Violet.
Good, yeah, purple. Good job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blue and my fuchsia. So these aren't the exact primary colors, but you can still get if you mix these. So all I did, I don't know if you can see that, I mixed fuchsia and I mixed space blue. So in between this, such a pretty purple. That's Michael's favorite color. So let's see. Mix those two. If I were to mix orange and brown, does anyone know? Audience.
Orange and brown?
It's kind of a trick question.
Does it make more brown?
Oh wait, dang it! Orange and blue makes
Orange
brown.
and blue makes brown because they're complementary colors.
Yeah, so you're gonna get, it depends on the ratio of it. So I got green.
Interesting.
And the reason why is because orange is a tint of not a tint, a shade of yellow. So if you want more brown, that's really cool. I think I had more blue than yellow. Okay, if you want brown, which I don't know if you really do, but I just want to show that this is how you experiment. So I added more orange to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it here. So if I ended up having more orange, it's going to be more that color. Whereas if you added more blue, it would go right here. So this was just a quick test, kind of messy, but all I wanted to show you is that 3 colors equals a million colors.
All the colors.
All the colors. So, okay, where's my thing? Once you had fun playing with this, also I said this, I'm just using computer paper. If you want to use watercolor paper, you totally can, but don't worry if you don't have that. Why I do this is that I want to show you, one, that there's so many different colors, but then this is genuinely what I did was I had different strips and I just tested different colors. So I know a question is when you're doing these, you might think to yourself, okay, what colors do I want to do together? How do I know what colors go well together? There is a science behind this. What I believe in is play. So I believe in, maybe you do this, is cut yourself a couple different strips and test different colors. Which color combinations speak to you? Because everyone enjoys different colors differently. Keenan's favorite color is probably different than mine. Actually, they're very similar and the same. But usually people's colors may be different. And so it's a personal preference on what speaks to you. What I can tell you is that I chose these colors for a reason for you guys because they do all kind of go together. So there's a harmony of it. So test out and see which different color palettes you like. You can pause and do that. Then we're gonna go for it. What I want to show you is why I called this abstract cards, is that this is to show you that something simple can be so powerful. So what I'm going to show you is probably super simple, but I want you to play and have fun and be like a little kid. So what you're going to do is take the colors, or let me, where's the other one? Okay. I have my color palette. I'm going to show you guys how to do this one first. So all I'm going to do, pick a color, any color, and I'm going to draw wherever I want. I'm just going to draw a circle. And what I suggest to do is draw this outline first and then color it in. If you want a darker color, add in more while it's already wet. So don't worry about the size of it, or even if it's an oval, that's all great too. But what I want you to do is for this next one, when you're overlapping it, just overlap a little bit, see what happens. So you'll notice that because they're both wet, it kind of blends into it. And if you want a perfect circle, what you do is you wait till this is completely dry. I should say that again. If you want a circle if you want two that aren't touching, or they're touching but they didn't blend into each other, you have to wait till it's dry. But because they were both wet, they just bled into each other, which I love. So I just want to show you. So I did this, if I were to let this completely dry, you might be able to see this line. So what I do is I'm gonna get a little bit more water, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of wet this part. So I'm kind of massaging into the line because I was talking. So it's kind of damp. So I just massaged into it, and then I actually didn't have any color on my brush, as you guys saw. So that just created a darker line on the outside and then a lighter color on the inside. So let me keep going around. I had my colors already mixed, so it worked out really well. So I'm just gonna keep on mixing colors. So if you want, what you can also do is maybe you have that and you want maybe a little bit of orange within this. So just pick up a little bit of color and mix it. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Kind of experiment with it. If this is your first time ever holding a paintbrush, let me do this at the same time. There are different ways you can do it. I would try and how you write with a pencil, so how you hold it naturally, except try not to grip so hard. So if I were to grip really hard and try and make a really perfect line, that really hurts. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna loosen my grip, I'm gonna breathe a little bit, and I'm just gonna kind of draw circle motions. So maybe it helps you just draw motions like this. My whole hand isn't moving, I'm just moving my wrist in this motion. So we can just use water. I'm gonna dip that in. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, how about this? I'm gonna show you guys how I did all 3 of them, and then we're gonna fast forward and I'll finish them, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so that's that one. Next one I wanna show you how to do is a full, fun wash. If you don't have a table like ours that you're okay getting dirty with, grab a piece of paper, scratch piece of paper, or a paper towel, put it underneath this because you might get paint everywhere. It's okay. Keenan has paint on his shoes. Paint gets everywhere. It's okay. Are you mad that I called you out?
Not mad, just, you know, I do have paint on my shoes.
They're cool boots, so.
They are cool boots. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is I have my water. Don't freak out that this is a yellow, a weird funky color. It's okay. I'm gonna stick with the warm colors. So the warm colors actually are, if you think of it when you're looking at a sunset, it's a warm feeling in your heart. Those are the warm colors. The cool colors are more of the blues and purples, and those are like the water because it's a little bit colder. So that's how I kind of look at it. But I'm going to create, I'm using, so this is like a sunset, and I'm using the complementary colors, which means colors that are next to each other because they complement each other. So instead of using this color and a very like a bright green, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum, that might hurt your eyes. So I'm kind of gliding into this so it feels like one smooth piece, even though they're different colors. So I dipped in my water. I'm gonna wad up and get paint on here, and I am simply going to paint. So when I do this, sometimes I have my arm hanging out or my hand in the air. Sometimes I have it grounded. I don't know why either way. It's just kind of whatever mood I'm in. So there's no right or wrong way. It's kind of what you're feeling. But what I would do is pick one color and then go and grab, maybe I'm gonna show how you can still use orange. I'm gonna grab the tangerine and I'm gonna paint it right next to it. So when you're painting this, I know I can see that line. Just gonna go grab some water. Again, it's not dripping. And I just smooth it back over by drawing back over it. So I'm drawing these circle motions. Let's pick up another color. And here's the thing. You can see how light this color is. So watercolor is beautiful, and I love because it's transparent. If you want a darker version of this so it's not as transparent, just grab more. So with watercolors is we don't use white to make a color lighter. We just simply use water. So this, you can keep going. You can choose how you want to do it. If you want to have a bloom, like I know Sarah likes to do, which is really pretty, and it means that you just grab a little bit of water. Does she do it with water or with watercolors? Water, right?
She does both.
Both. Okay, I was gonna say, I'm like, I've seen both.
Yeah, because it's useful for both.
So that's all I did was I just added a little bit of a water, a droplet to it, so now you'll see it kind of doing its thing and exploding. So actually, this would have been smarter. Open it up like that. Oh. But still, I like to hold it and then I get the edge. Personal preference, but just want to show you guys that.
You know how some cards, well, when they're printed by like an actual card maker place,
yeah,
they have the circle with like the brand and what was name, like its brand name and
on the back?
Yeah, you could do that on the back of your card.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Make yourself a little handmade by.
Yeah.
Insert you.
Boom. Insert you.
I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna let that do its thing. So this needs to completely be dry now. So that's the second card. Third card. Again, you can do all of these, you can do one of these. Just wanna show you so many different ways to have fun. Okay, so for this one, I also chose sunset colors. Maybe, should I mix it up?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the warmer colors. So in my palette, I'm not really sure how I feel about this green though. So what I want to do is I want to do a mix of the space blue and the really pretty purple that we had made. And I'm going to show you a different way to do it. So I have my two different colors. So I'm going to start with my blue, my space blue. But what I want to do is I want to have a lighter color of it. So you can see how in this instance we went from the tangerine to the fuchsia. But what I want to show you is you can also start with space blue. So I'm going to make these 3 rings just using this space blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this up and so have another well of it, but I'm going to have a little bit more water to it. So it makes it more watered down, which makes it lighter. This might be too light, but we're going to test it out.
You go up and to the right real quick.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm doing is that visible to the eye?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, the fun drop. It's okay. I'll go over it. I love that. So it's super soft. And this was because I simply just added more water. So now what I'm going to do is I have this well. This is what I just painted from. I'm just going to... Okay, so I have that. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my original blue and just drip it in here. Might need a little bit more. So it's making it a little bit more concentrated, just 1 notch. So you can see that that's just a tad bit lighter. And what I'm doing is I'm making these rings or rays, and I'm leaving a little bit of white space in between each one, but I'm making it doesn't have to be perfectly uniform, but I just eyeballed and did the same amount. And when I'm pushing this, I'm not pushing very hard on this brush. So don't feel like you have to use a lot of pressure. This is very relaxing. Okay, so then to make it even darker, I'm just going to go in and add a little bit more. So it's very slightly darker. And I like to make things a little abstract, so it's going to go off the grid a little bit, off the card.
I like the grid.
I chose to do it off-centered, but if you did this in the center of your card, that totally works too. Okay, so that's the next one. And then I'm going to just try, let's see what it looks like with no water on my, or just not a lot of water on my brush. And I'm just going to go straight for the blue. I think this will be even darker. Yep. So if you see, it's getting this is a perfect example. It got a little rough right there. So that is because I do need a little bit of water. So even though these are liquid watercolors, you still need a little bit of water to get them to paint. So even though I still want this same concentrated blue, I can add a little bit of water. But what it means is I might just need to go over it a few times. So it's still very vibrant blue. Okay, so since that's the darkest color I can get, I forgot, I started to make these rings a little bit bigger as I went out. Okay, then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start to I'm gonna do the same thing. Let's see. I'm going to make some purple, but I'm going to have blue. So I put a little bit of blue, and I'm just adding a little bit of purple. Ooh, so now we're going to start to get into more navy, which is really pretty. So it's amazing. You guys saw, all I did was I just dipped my brush in. So it's the small little dot. It shows that you don't really need a lot. Oh, that had a little bit more purple in it, which looks really cool too. Okay, now let's just use, let's see, I want to have it be a little bit more gradual, so I want a little bit of blue. Might help to have a paper towel handy, so I'm doing it again, I'm just dipping it in a little bit. Ooh!
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty one. Okay. There we go. Looks like a cool, yeah. I don't know what word I'm thinking of.
Hole?
Yeah, I'm thinking of the ocean. I'm thinking of, then I see what's the word?
Steve.
It's not typography, because typography is what we're doing. We're doing lettering. What is the freaking word? Do you know what I'm thinking of? I know you guys are gonna know. You're gonna be like, Nicole, that word. The word when you look at a map and you see the ripples of Earth.
Topography.
It is typography?
No, I don't think so.
It's
No,
not.
Top.
It's close. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
Let me look it up.
So those were that was step 2. You guys are gonna let that dry. So what I suggest is go take a snack break. It won't take very long. Actually, this is almost basically dry, but we're gonna fast forward a little bit while Kian's looking at that, and I'm gonna finish this one. You guys can take a break, and I'll meet you back in a few seconds, minutes. We're back.
Perfect.
And so I let that dry, but I realized I need to show you guys the next step, which is going through the practice worksheets. So you will see what I have right here on my desk is that I have 3 different sheets. These are either in your box, or you can also go to our website for free. I would love for you to learn along with us. So you can go to our website at letsmakeart.com, find this project, and you can download these. One thing I want to say is there's a random February, not random, kind of random, but there's a February. You're not going to be writing February on any of these cards unless you want to, maybe, and it's someone's birthday in February. But I included this, so I'm not going to be going over this one, but I included this as just a little bonus for you guys, is if you were going through the January box with us, there's a dot journal, so you can use this to practice writing February for this month. So I just wanted to let you know that that's included in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to write the word love and heart. So you will see that on here I broke it up into smaller strokes. So that is the beauty of lettering, is that I would like you to take it slower and take it stroke by stroke. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using, for this first one, is I'm going to use my Le Pen Flex, which is the brush pen. The reason why it's a brush pen and a flex pen is because you can get thin strokes and you can get thick strokes, all with the same pen. Whereas in contrast, this is the regular one. If I push light and I push hard, no difference. So the beauty of this is that you can control this. So I'm gonna apply different amounts of pressure. So what I'm gonna do is I drew this to show you guys how to build up and draw the L. So what you can do is you can trace over. I'm just applying normal pressure, not thinking about it. So I'm going to apply normal pressure, but then what happens is when I get here, so I'm going to push harder to get a thicker stroke. Whereas if I were to do the same one right here, and I just apply the same amount of pressure, it would look like that. Whereas if I do it one more time, just going regular pressure, thick pressure. So the trick is, or it's not a trick, it's the motto which I wrote up here, if you forget it, is thin on the up, thick on the down. This isn't a cross or horizontal line, so those I just make thin as well. So I guess you could either insert thin or a horizontal on the up. No, thin on the horizontal or up. I mix that up. Or thick on the down. So when I'm doing this is, I'm gonna do this one more time and do the full L. So I'm gonna go horizontal, so I'm gonna go thin, apply normal pressure, thick on the down and apply thick pressure. And then I'm going to get back to the tip of this and come back around. I'm going to do it one more time for you guys. Can you zoom in on this brush? It's super tiny.
Do you want me to zoom in more than I already am?
Oh, well, I can't see what it is right now.
It looks great.
Okay, as long as you can see.
Head's not there.
My head. Okay, so if you guys can see, watch this pen, the tip of it. Right now, can you see that I'm pushing harder so it really smushes it? And then I get to the tip again, and then that's a light. Could you see that?
Yeah, I saw
Okay, cool. So know that this will come with practice. I always get frustrated when people say that to me, but I built this worksheet so that you have an opportunity to practice. So what we're going to do is you're going to trace over and do the same thing. So when you see a thicker stroke, that means you're going to press harder. And then when you see a thin stroke, is just draw regularly. So thick, get to the tip, draw regularly. So I drew spots for you to practice. So this is thick on the down, so I'm going to push harder. Instead of like this, is I applied more pressure. This one is thin on the up, so I'm just applying light pressure. There's little arrows that I drew if you can't see it on the camera, so you can see which direction to go in. This is, I'm gonna go across again, so I'm applying regular pressure and then thicker pressure to get the thicker down. So as you're doing that, you might notice that all of these strokes, which are the foundation strokes, is they build up to create the word love. So this is the entire thing written out. So let's see, we already have the L. The O is pretty obvious, but the V is in 2 strokes. So I'm gonna go down, then I'm gonna go up, and then across. So I want you to take it in these different strokes, and that will help you to avoid doing this. And doing it really fast, not thinking about it, having the same amount of thickness. So the other trick is that as you're going through this, let me show you on this one. As you're going through this and you think, Nicole, brush pens just aren't my thing, it's okay. I have another trick for you and a different pen that you can do this with. So if you want to go through this on your own, this worksheet says heart, and I built it the same exact way. So you'll see that it's built with the different strokes broken up, and then the final one is where you can do it on your own. But what I wanted to show is that if you aren't a fan of the brush pen, let's use any other pen. So I included the regular Le Pen. Okay, so side shot, you guys can see I am going to draw this word. No different amount of pressure is being applied. I'm going to draw the same word, but I'm using, so this was the regular pen, so that's the tip. I'm going to be using the brush pen that we were just using before, and I'm going to draw the same word, but I just want to show you I'm applying different amount of pressure. So thin on the up, thick on the down, thin on the up, thick on the down. So I'm applying different amount of pressure to create the thin and thick strokes. So thick on the down, thin on the up. So you might be looking at it and thinking, okay, cool, Nicole, how do I do that with just a regular pen? Insert foligraphy. If you've never heard this term, feel free to pause and go back, and we have a beginner lettering series that is called foligraphy where you can go over this in more detail. But what I'm doing is I'm not cheating, you're being smart about it, and you are doing it afterwards. So I'm going to mimic this same stroke that's thicker here. I'm just going to draw it right here. So you draw it, make this line a little bit thicker, and then color it in. Same one, thicker right here. So if you want to do it, you can also say to yourself, thin on the up, thick on the down. So this needs to be thicker. So this is thicker, thin on the up. So I'm going to leave that, thick on the down, thin on the up.
I noticed that you, depending on which letter, you have been filling on the inside or the outside of the letter. Is there a reason for that?
No. Great question. And there is not a rule. So I know sometimes you want me to just give you a rule and tell you every single time it needs to be this way. A trick that I guess I do is I kind of look at it and see is if I were to fill this on, let's take this for example. For this one, if I were to fill it on the inside, this isn't right or wrong, it would make the H a little bit skinnier. Running out of room here. Whereas if I filled this on the outside, because I didn't fill up this space, it very slightly changes the shape of it. This is to prove to you that it doesn't matter. It's still an H. It still works. So don't get so caught up on which one do I do it on. You can also, as you might have seen on some of them, is if you have a letter, instead of drawing an actual line like that and then coloring it in, what you can also do, if this helps your brain, just overlap. Just color in and just make that line thicker like that. So that way you're just thinking, okay, I'm just thickening that line up. So those are the two different pens. Like I said, they're both Le Pen pens. This is the pen that we're going through in this box. They just have two different tips. So if you have Crayola Super Tips, you can use that to create this photography. There's so many different options. Where's, oh, you see what happened? I put the blue on that side. Okay, now, more practice for you. You can pause and do that. I'm gonna show you how I do the next step, which is just drawing on our cards. As you can see, this is super bent. So whenever you use watercolors, is that this is the natural way that paper wants to do its thing. Don't worry, you can either bend it back and reshape it, or, well, granted, that's open because it's a card. But what I actually like to do is overnight, I will get a big stack of books and I'll put all these cards and I'll lay them there. I usually sometimes flip it the other way, so if it's like that, sometimes I'll flip it this way. I'll do it both. But that's a way to flatten it. So don't stress if you're like, wait, my cards are doing funky things. It's normal, it's doing its thing. So these are all dry. I'm going to now letter on them. So let me start with, let's start with the Le Pens first, and then I'll show you how you can use the jelly roll. Okay, here's a tip trick. If this bothers you, get some tape. I suggest blue painter's tape because when you rip it off, it won't rip it off exactly, or washi tape if you have that. But that's in a good spot, you said?
Yep.
Okay. If it bothers you that it pops up, just tape it down. Okay, so when you have this, if it intimidates you to go right off the bat, just draw with a pencil. Just lightly draw it. So I'm drawing I love you or I heart you. This is perfect for Valentine's Day or actually any day. You can tell people you love them. So you can draw it in pencil first. Then I have my outline. Now I'm just going to go over it. I'm going to talk to myself. I'm going to say thick on the down. You can even do it with the heart. Then on the up, thick on the down, then on the up, thick on the down, then thick, then, so thick pressure. I kind of had fun with this and I went right up to the edge, but I made it look like the Y was behind it. And then the other thing I want to show is you do not have to connect all of your letters. So this isn't school, there's no right or wrong way. I, as you can see, broke up the Y and the U, and I just added a little flourish, which is a little detail at the end, so it curved around. So that's that. That's simple, guys. I know you can do this. I'm really excited to see everyone make their own cards.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Easy peasy. Now I want some lemonade. That would sound so good right now.
That sounds good.
Okay, I don't know why it's cold, but.
Well, it also sounds good to have summer back. So
Maybe that's
what it is.
Okay, for the other two, so you can still use your brush pen if you'd like, but what I'm going to do is I want to show, I realized I didn't use the Le Pen for any of these in the final one, but you can totally do that too. I can show that. But I wanted to show is, in addition to, in your box that you guys got, is I wanted to show you the beauty of a gel pen. So this is a jelly roll, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with heart. So I'm going to show how I'm going to start with just by thin lettering, by regular lettering, no different amount of pressure because jelly rolls are not brush pens, so they're not flexible. I'm going to freehand this, but you can do it in pencil if you want first. So I draw that first. Yeah, can they see that? I know it's
hard to see.
It's a similar color.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm going to do it for this.
When you flip it up, when you let go of the paper, they can see it.
Oh.
But when you're writing it, it's hard to see.
Okay, well.
You want a book?
No, I could do this. I'm going to show you guys. Makeshift. Okay, can you see how that is just, there's no thin or thick lines. I'm going to do the same thing as what I did when I was showing calligraphy. And I'm just going to make these thicker, this part thicker, because that's a thick downstroke. That's a thick downstroke, so thin on the up, across, thick on the down, across, thin on the up, thick on the down. What I wanted to show is when you're looking at that, that looks great. If you want to have a smoother transition between your thick and thin lines, I can't do this on that funky way, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlap one more time so it kind of thickens the thin up and then just smooth out this transition. So if you just go over one more time, it'll help it feel more gradual. Can you guys see that?
Beautiful.
Okay. That, oh, and then you can draw a little heart, but that's how simple it is. Maybe you write the person's name, but I love, this is actually my go-to way of making cards, is just doing a really pretty wash and then doing something on top of it. Okay, so for this one, you guys can have fun. Sometimes I also mix it up. I should have said this in the beginning and I apologize, but don't feel like you have to do a script style. If that's not your thing, as you can see on this example, I did a mix of it. So this one I had more of a script style, this one is more of a block style. So you can mix and match, or you can just stick with whatever you're comfortable with. What I want to show is I applied the same thin and thick technique. I was going to say theory, it's not a theory.
It does work. Theory proof.
I tested the theory. But I want to show that you can still use that. So I'm going to write the word family. So maybe for this one, you're giving it to someone and you think of different words that you use to describe them or that you love about them. So I'm going to write the word family. So I'm going to use the same concept, whether you're using your gel pen or this regular pen. Family. So I just wrote it out like that. So just all thin lines. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, and when I went thick on the down, I'm going to make this thicker. Thin on the up, thick on the down. Gel pens, I have a trick for you guys also. Someone asked us, they were using a gel pen. We've either used the Uniball brand or the Sakura of America brand. For some reason, if they ever get stuck for you guys, meaning that when you're drawing them, the ink just won't flow out, the weirdest trick that I found is I color on my finger. Or I mean, it doesn't matter whether any part of your skin, for some reason it helps it roll. I know it's the weirdest thing, but that's what I told our customer service team to tell you guys, is that I think it's a combination of, because it's a pad, so it's not as hard, it's a softer surface, and maybe the oils of your hand. So weird. That's the weirdest trick.
Has something to grip onto maybe a little more?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so you can keep filling this out. Another way that I did, as you guys can see, is I added some little dots around here. Have fun with this one. You can draw them on the outside as well if you want to fill in some negative space. But I think that is it. I know you guys can do this. I wanted to break it down and show you that these are 3 very simple cards, yet really powerful. So if you were to hand make this and give it to someone, I want you to see their expression, see how they react when you give it to them and they realize, you made this? It's the most simple act that we can do to spread love. So this theme is called Love Notes. We're going to be going through different ways. I'm going to show you guys how to address envelopes, show how to make different cool liners. I hope you had fun with this. If you aren't a part of our community, we have a Facebook group called Let's Make Art Lettering that I'd love for you to come on and join. We do different tutorials every week and have fun. I feel like we have an Instagram called Let's Go Make Art. It's like there's something else I needed to say. Happy February, everyone, and I'll see you guys next week.